Hey, what's up? How you doing? This is Taking Care of Fitness podcast number one, episode one, I should say. Um, Basically, I figured today I kind of had I guess, the epiphany that it would be good to start this this podcast today. Although I will say that in the past, I've been told I definitely should do it, and I felt like I should do it. I just guess I didn't really want to. I was kind of toying with it, going back and forth, because I didn't want to be another influencer, another certified trainer, another person out there that is just kind of throwing out the same hackneyed stuff over and over and over and over, or throwing out the same false stuff over and over and over and over. What as we see on social media, that is overflowing with it amongst the many that are putting out a lot of good information. I didn't want to be like that, because it just, to me, would feel so wrong. I wouldn't feel genuine if I did that. I wanted to make it unique. I wanted to be my own self, of course, and not piggyback off of anybody, and not cheerlead for anybody that didn't deserve it. So you toy with these things in your brain a little bit, and then you come to a conclusion that why not. So I'm happy to do this, because for me, it's an outlet for A, to help other people, B, to do better for myself, and three, to learn more, because this is an industry in which you are never not learning about. It's like many other industries. There is never really the mountaintop. You're always climbing. And I think that goes hand in hand with fitness and in health, whether you're an athlete, whether you're not an athlete, whether you're a gym rat, whether you're not a gym rat, whether you're doing HIIT, whether you belong to Orange Theory, whether you're doing Pilates, yoga, what have you. You are never at the top. It's like acting. It'll never be perfect. All you can do is do your best to try and get there. So that's what I've tried to do with this, because that's how my fitness journey has been. I even hate that term, fitness journey, man. It ain't no fitness journey for me. So I wanted to start this first episode, obviously, with the genesis of how I got into this industry. Although for me, it's not an industry, it's more of a lifestyle. It's more like the skin on my body becomes part of you. Or I should say the clothing on your body. Well, if the clothing on your body becomes part of you, then you should change your fucking clothing, man. And I do curse during this, because that's the way I talk. I'm not one of these pretty, carved out of nature really well people. That's not my style. If anything, I kind of always feel like Shrek, the ogre from the movies, of course. So, like I said, I gotta be me, as it says, or like Elvis always said, do things my way. So, that being started, episode one obviously should be the genesis. So, the way I got involved in personal training and health and wellness and exercising, I have all credit has to go to my parents, because they instilled in us the importance of playing sports when we were younger. So, like my brothers before me, and like my sister, I got involved in organized sports. First was basketball, baseball, football. Unfortunately, hockey I never got involved in, although I would have loved to. I never got involved in gymnastics or soccer like my brothers did. That really wasn't my thing. But from a really early age, we were always active. So that's where it started. So I have to give all respect, due, and love to my parents, because they're the ones who implanted the seed into my head. And from there, obviously, being part of a sports teams, I should say, helps you learn camaraderie, helps you learn respect for others, respect for yourself, respect for sports, and helps you have order in your life, I believe. And I think having order in your life is very important. That goes hand in hand with training, because when you train, when you exercise, you must have order. There is an order in which things are done, in which things have to be done. And the more you progress in this, the more order you will need. So we're talking dietary, we're talking supplementation, we're talking experimentation with various different types of um, forms of wellness, forms of anti-aging, what have you, etc., which we know today is so prevalent in our society. For me, It started, like I said, back when I was younger, probably 5 or 6, in sports. I love sports. I still do to this day. It's one of the things I hold very high in my life, and um, exercise is right near there because obviously, in order to do well in physical activity, you have to be physically active. So I was gifted, I was blessed and humbled to have the talent, to really be good at sports by the grace of God, by the grace of my parents as well, because my parents were athletes as well. My mother and father played. Obviously, growing up in Brooklyn at the time they grew up, and they're baby boomers. They were constantly playing sports, having to be outside, having to not come home until the lights go out, having to come home dirty because you were playing sports all day long. This is exactly what I did. Okay. And then, of course, I was also part of organized sports. So that's how the journey started. That's, for me, was always important. Now, when I was growing up, I took a love and an interest in sports. So when I was in school, I was always happy when gym came around because it's something that I excelled at. It's something that I did really well at. It's something that I loved doing, whether it was playing basketball, baseball, football, hockey, whatever we could do in gym. That's what I excelled at, or just exercising, of course. Um, it's unfortunate that I wasn't able to do it more during the week, because I believe I only had gym maybe once or twice a week, which we know now is absolutely insane, being that we know the importance of exercise and wellness and physical activity for not only our physical well-being, our mental well-being, our spiritual well-being. Let's face it, we are beings that are here and should be using the and implementing so many different things that a lot of people don't do. We are gifted by God as the perfect machine. I believe human beings, the human body is the most perfect machine, better than any computer, better than any chat GPT, better than anything on earth. It's the most unique. It's the greatest. It's probably, like exercise, like I said earlier, in this industry and many others, it's one of the areas that you will never stop learning about and you will never fully grasp. You just have to keep going. That's what we are. That's what we were here to do. When we are not utilizing the physical body, we are dying. We are on a slow road to death. Hence be the importance of being physically active. What we now know is that sitting today is the new smoking. Well, I'm sure the experts would say we knew that many years ago. So I don't want to get off the path too much, but that's how this journey started for me. So when I wasn't in school, when I wasn't playing organized sports, I was out in the park playing ball. I was at a friend's house playing ball. I was playing basketball, baseball, football, what have you, constantly in all types of weather every month. Most of the days of the week, that is getting filthy, coming home late. This is what we did. This is what I did. And from there, thanks to my dad, he put me in the gym at around 14 years old, because as a freshman in high school, I was playing high school football. I was playing high school basketball. He was great enough to help get me a trainer, someone a lot more experienced than I was, someone a lot more knowledgeable than I was. And that's what I try and do with my clients as well. I always instill in them, or try to pass it on, that before you do anything with a weight, before you do anything with excess resistance, you have to learn to utilize your body weight. You have to learn to utilize the muscles of your body. So what do I mean by that? What do I mean by that is the importance of body weight exercises. I think that in today's day and age, we're seeing so many different athletes that are utilizing and make exceptionally well use of their body weight exercise. And I think a lot of the time it goes under the bed as not being the most important. But during COVID, what we saw is a resurgence in the importance of body weight exercises. So what I mean by that are squats, calf raises, pull-ups, dips, push-ups, crunches, running, walking, marching, whatever, body weight exercises. That's where I started. I wanted to be as good as I could with that, because I believe that before you can pick up anything outside of yourself, you have to pick up your body weight. You have to move your body weight. You have to be flexible, durable with your body weight. If you cannot do that, you're going to have a very hard time in life, and you're going to have a very hard time with excess weight, with resistance. So I got into the gym when I was rather young, 14. I started from the bottom with no weights whatsoever, just the bar, and from there I progressed. Thanks to the thanks to my father for getting me the trainer. I think it was 3 days a week. Thanks for my interest in it. Thanks for the for being for having the drive, or for at least at that immature time, for knowing how important it was, and for the grace of God, I was able to progress. And because I also have, on both sides of my family, good genes, good genetics. My father's side of the family, Pennsylvania steel, as I call it, real strong hands, wide shoulders, very used to digging in the dirt, getting down and dirty, picking heavy things up all day long. On my mother's side, the same thing, living in Brooklyn, having to do manual labor, which is so valuable. And that really helped the mindset, helped the body. So I started from there. That's how everything began. And I moved upward. And through the years, what I did is I found myself asking questions to people who were far more advanced, far more experienced, and built 10 times better than I ever could imagine. And that had, whether it was athletes, whether it was just gentlemen in the gym, of course, now with the internet, we're able to look these things up on a whim. Back then, which the internet was around, but it wasn't as advanced as it was today, I had to ask questions. I still ask questions to these days, to people who I see doing something unique and different. I always ask questions. I like to inquire. That's what we do in this industry and in every industry, where we keep going. Like I said, you're never at the mountaintop. You're always climbing, and that's the beauty of it. So for me, that was the important thing, was being there, putting the time in, and just learning, doing things wrong. I was doing things so wrong at first, whether it was form, whether it was trying to go too heavy, whether it was not understanding the movement of the muscle, how big the muscle was, the attachment of the muscle, how your muscles work. What did I know at 14? Nothing. I just knew that this is something I had to be involved in. And from there, from constantly learning, constantly watching, constantly asking questions, I learned a lot. I'm the type of person that has to hear something and see something and actively be doing it and trying it to get better at it. That's the way it works for me. So I spent so much time in the gym that eventually you start to sort of get better at these things. I don't think it's ever perfection, but that's your goal, is to strive for perfection. And for me, it was being around people who were far more advanced than I do, far more smarter than I was in this field, and better than me. And this was older gentlemen. That's why I always thought it was imperative that we should always be around people that are, I don't believe in the term old, elder. You learn so much more from your elders in all walks of life than you would anywhere else, especially being in the gym. That's what you want to do. Get in there and just get going. So I tell everyone, join a gym, and don't worry about trying to be built like The Rock. Don't worry about trying to be built like John Cena. Forget all that, man. You do you, and focus and ask questions and fail. And obviously don't get hurt, but start at the bottom, from the body weight up. Go light, and once you master that, go a little heavier, and the more you will do, and the better you will get at. Try different forms of exercise. Try HIIT. Try Pilates. Try yoga. There's nothing wrong with that. You're going to like some better than others. You're going to find that some are better than others for you. Everybody's different. So that's basically where I started. And then I transitioned into a period of going into pure beefy weightlifting. I just wanted to be as big and massive as I could, man. Call it what you want. Call it, I don't know. That's just what I wanted to do. I wanted to get as big as I could. I wanted to master the fuck out of those weights. I wanted to make those weights my fucking bitch. You have to be part egotistical in this to get better. You have to be egotistical to some extent. You have to be challenging yourself constantly. You have to be fucking smacking your inner bitch down as Joe Rogan says, right, conquer your inner bitch. You have to be doing that constantly because that inner bitch is always going to be there, not wanting to pick up that weight, not wanting to walk on that treadmill uphill, not wanting to do anything. I want to sit down and be comfortable. Fuck that, man. I had to constantly keep doing that, and I had to challenge myself. And did I fail? 100%. Did I ever? Were there times when I didn't pick that weight up? Yeah. Were there times I dropped it? Yeah. Were there times I looked stupid? Maybe. Were there times I wasn't able to get it off the holder? Yeah. Was there times a spotter was doing more than I was doing? Of course. This is what you do. This is called progression upward. And a lot of the times you don't see that from people and you don't hear that from people, but that's the honest to God truth. No one was obviously just born, and unless you're hurt, even Hercules, I'm sure, had to work at it, right? Well, he was gifted from the gods, right? But you have to work at everything no matter what. That's how we do things. And I get it. Like in our heads, a lot of the time, we always we see where we want to get to. But even when you get to where you're at, sometimes you don't even know it. And there's still work to be going. Like I said, always progressing upward, never downward, right? So I wanted to be as big as I could. And I put on a shitload of weight, whether it was in high school. I think my top weight was 275. I was benching crazy weight. I was squatting crazy weight. I was doing everything crazy weight. I was a strong fuck, man. But I also noticed that at that time, I wasn't feeling the best all around because it was really hard to move. And at that time, I didn't know as much as I know now. So again, everything is, a hindsight is 2020. Had I would have known what I know now, I would have liked to have carried that weight at that time, but I would like to have been more flexible, like able to scratch my back, you know what I mean? Which I couldn't do. Thank God for walls, because I always had to go against the wall. But at that time, that's what I wanted to do. And then that progressed into my 20s. I wanted to still be as big as I could into my 30s. And I had not catastrophic, but I had two bad knee injuries. I tore both my ACLs, not all together at once. I tore one when I was about, I want to say, 18. I tore the other one when I was about 27. Had them both surgically repaired. And I'll never forget that one of the doctors I had met with when I first tore my first ACL looked at me and said, "You'll never be 100% again." That always stood in the back of my mind because I was going to make this fucker. I was going to make this fucker full of shit, and I did. Had a wonderful doctor, Answorth Allen, who was at the hospital for special surgery, who did the surgery, repaired both my knees, and from there, you do the rehab. And again, it was my goal to always strengthen them even more than they had always been, because I was always gifted and blessed with real strong legs, which is great because the legs, you always want to be strong from the bottom up and kind of make everything equal, because the bottom carries the top, which I explain to clients. If your bottom is not as strong as your top, you're going to have a really rough time. I believe it was LeBron James, the basketball player, obviously everyone knows about, for the Los Angeles Lakers, who I had read or heard something about his training method and how he strives to make everything equal and balanced, because those legs carry that top. I see a lot of people who don't utilize their leg muscles enough and don't spend enough time utilizing their legs, and obviously they're built a lot bigger on top than they are on bottom. It's really unhealthy for you because you're putting so much stress on your legs, and your legs are not conditioned to hold you that well. And at that time that I had these injuries, I was overweight in an unhealthy way. I was eating like shit too. And that probably had to do with my knee injuries, of course, because the herky-jerky movements. I think I was playing basketball when I injured my knee the first time, carrying so much muscle and so much weight. Looking back now, I would have probably done things a lot different. But I stayed like that after my knee injuries. I still stayed nice and strong. After my second operation, when I was 27, I knew that I had gained so much weight from my first post-knee surgery that I didn't want to do that again. So this time I actually lost weight while I was recovering, because I was back in the gym training, which the doctor didn't want me to do. But fuck all that, because I got to do what I got to do. I don't recommend that for people, though, all the time. You got to do what you got to do. I was basically training not legs, obviously. With my second knee surgery, I was training everything else with my knee brace on. So I didn't give up any time at all. I didn't give into the the post recovery time, just sitting around doing bullshit. But even into my 30s, like, again, goal was I want to be as strong as I can. And now into my 40s, um, still the same goal, but I changed things a lot. I'm still strong as I was. I'm even stronger now. I know that's a cliche and hackneyed expression, but I mean that to be true. But I'm so much smarter, and my body is so much more powerful in a well balanced longevity term type sense, which that's the way I tell people we have to look at this. We have to look at training as a lifelong thing. We have to look at it as longevity. That's the goal. Now, one thing I will say is I am an NASM or NASM certified personal trainer. I do hold certificates, various different certificates in training. One thing I will admit that I don't see a lot of other people admitting is I don't know everything. I'm the first to admit it. If someone has a question for me or asks me something and I don't know, I tell them I don't know. But I will research that for you. I will do my best. That is what I think we need more of. We need more transparency from people on social media that are in this business. And one of the reasons why I wanted to make this podcast was I can't tell you how tired of the back and forth I see between social influencers, trainers, nutritionists, doctors. I am so tired of it, of the back and forth. I'm so tired of the bullshit. I'm so tired of the negativity and the lack of positivity. I'm so tired of the bad shit that's out there that's not true. I'm so tired of people saying, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I'm tired of people just demonizing certain things without having tried them themselves or saying, well, studies say. Let me get this out of the way. First off, and again, I tell clients this all the time. One size does not fit all in this business. There's no way. Okay, that doesn't happen. Everyone is different. Everyone is built different. Everyone has a different metabolism. Everyone has a different diet. For the most extent, people may have allergies. People may find better luck with certain supplementation than others, what have you. So you have to always be aware that you don't know everything. If you are a personal trainer or a fitness guru or whatever you call yourself, always know you don't know everything and that it is never capped. It is always going upward and expanding, trying to learn as much as you can. A lot of people I see in this industry, not all, there are some great minds in this, but a lot of people I see always want to be right and always feel like it's my way. Bullshit. It's bullshit. It's just a way for them to get people who may not know so much, and it's not their fault, or who may feel a little insecure, to get them on their page, to get them to buy something, to get likes, to get popularity from these people, and it's bullshit. Okay? I'm not gaining anything from this as we speak, and if I am, I hope that it helps people. I hope it helps me, but it's when you're going out there pumping bad information, and there's someone out there that's going to buy into that, and God knows what happens with that. I mean, we see that so many times from people in skincare, anti-aging. It's everywhere these days, and I think it should be. I think that obviously it should be an open forum. We all have the right, but these people have to check themselves a little bit at the door. And at the same time, people watching and following have to play devil's advocate. I do it all the time. There are so many people that I follow on my feeds, whether it's Facebook or Instagram, whom I don't always agree with. And obviously, who know a lot more than I do, who are smarter than I do, who have more credentials than I do, but I don't always agree with them. Now, that doesn't make them bad. That doesn't make me right. It's just the way I feel about certain things. Like, for instance, a lot of that has to do with dietary needs, supplements, vitamins, ways of life, whether it's intermittent fasting, sleeping, try this, try that. I think you have to find what works for you and go from there. That's been my journey, man. That's the way it's been for me. I find what works for me. So, in solely speaking for myself, my training methods, have always sort of been the same. I always try and stay nice and strong. But in the last couple of years, I've learned to lean out. I've learned to eat a lot better, eat smarter, sleep better, plug in things that I never thought I would plug in. But that's what this journey is about. and take out things that weren't working for me. So what I've plugged in the last couple of years, which has really worked for me, is intermittent fasting, which is been a total game changer for me. I've obviously learned the importance of nutrition and food. I've learned the importance of organic whole foods. I've learned the importance of, um, staying away from processed foods of all kinds, staying away from um, a lot of fast food galore. Now, a lot of people, that may sound rigid and scary, but I do treat myself, but my treating myself is probably not as fulfilling or cool as others. Whatever, everybody's different. Why I started this podcast too was just to also, get my voice out there a little bit, because there are so many times that I see others doing it and I don't agree with them. And I'm like, or I feel on board with them, that we see eye to eye, and I would like to add something to that. But one of the things I strive to do is try and be as truthful as I can with my clients when they express to me their goals. So a lot of times it's weight loss, gaining muscle, toning up, um, you know, people with injuries, trying to minimize or work around or strengthen everything around the injuries, or hopefully pointing them in the right direction when it comes to how to treat those injuries. That's basically what I'm looking to do, because I'm also a client as well, to myself and to others who know more than me. There are always going to be others that know more than me. Now, on that note, a lot of the people whom I do follow, um, who I gain a lot of knowledge from, and who I don't always agree with, and who I do agree with. I mean, there are some wonderful people out there amongst the ones who I think are full of shit. But a large variety of the people who I follow happen to be Ben Greenfield, um, Lane Norton, the great Dr. Rhonda Patrick, Andrew Huberman, David Sinclair, who is well known for anti-aging, Josh Axe, trying to think of so many of the others, Peter Attia, and a lot of these people have podcasts. They have a wealth of information out there. Various other doctors that I follow, and the one thing I will say, that it is a lot to ingest at times, because yes, you are Rob Saladino too, another person I follow. You are getting a large variety of information, and sometimes it kind of makes you feel dizzy. It kind of makes you feel hopeless, because what one person says, the other one denies, and vice versa. But again, I think it comes back to a lot of things. I think it comes back to trying things in a safe way, trying things that you think will have an effect for you, trying methods that may not be too harmful, and then maybe once you see that they are working for you, increase them. But it also has to do with asking questions and doing information checks for yourself. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to do, because it takes time, and I understand that, or it takes effort. You have to really be your own detective in this business, I find. That's the best way to do things. You have to ask questions. You can't possibly always agree with everyone, because that would just be you'd be full of shit. And I think they would expect you to say that. And you have to be willing to disagree with people no matter what happens, because you know you better than anybody else. You know what's working for you better than anybody else. And if you don't, you have to try different things. That's how you that's how you make proper choices. There are people that train a certain way for so long and never change it up. There's nothing wrong with changing it up while you're still keeping it the same way. There's nothing wrong with adding things. I know people that have added Pilates, have added yoga, have added HIIT, have added CrossFit. That's fine. My thing is, I don't think you can really sustain a certain way of training for too long, especially one that is taxing on the joint. So let's just say, for instance, when it comes to HIIT, so many people, it becomes very cult-like. It becomes very almost tribal. You got the Pilates people and the yoga people. You got the HIIT people. You got the weightlifting people. Look, my thing is, I think that you should always be exercising with some type of resistance while implementing body weight exercises. And I think that something like HIIT over time, doing it every day, increasing the weight, can be catastrophic to your joints, can be catastrophic to your overall wellness. I think, you have to, like I said, this is a longevity game. It has to be a longevity game, unless, and this is out of my expertise, because I am not a professional, power lifter. I'm not a professional weightlifter. I do have some credentials and certificates in the understanding of those areas, but I have never competed, nor would I. It's just not something I would do. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all, but that, I think, that form can be over time, and you can ask the experts, and as I think for the most part they would agree, can be very rough, because there's injuries included, there's different type of dietary intake, and let's face it, there are a lot of other things that are involved there. And again, I'm not demonizing anyone. I'm just stating the facts. When it comes to steroids, when it comes to HGH, when it comes to testosterone, I think those people would agree too, unless they are there are contests and areas that claim to be all natural. I don't know. I don't judge anyone for that. That's their business. What I find is that, again, it's very hard to take a position of no against these things when I think there is a lot to be learned from them. I think that in order to fully understand the wide spectrum of these things, we have to be willing and open to reading about them, to learning from others, to seeing long-form conversation about these things via podcasts or interviews, from looking at studies, everything, take everything into consideration. And then if you choose to indulge in these things, then do it correctly. Do it with the doctor's help. Do it smart. Just know the possible side effects of these things. That's what I say. I've had clients that have asked me questions like that, and I always try and never judge them. I just try and point them in the right direction when it comes to this, point them to someone who may know more than me. And I'm always asking questions, because I find that this industry is full of, like I said, there's so much information going around in different categories that it's imperative for us, not just trainers, but for clients as well, and people who find this interesting, and people who this is a way of life to. We have to be continuously learning, observing, and looking into these things. We can't just demonize things and say they're no good. And in this day and age, we know that there's been so many restrictions on so many different things that have been deemed bad for us, but yet we find a lot of positive in those things. So again, like I said, we have to be open. We have to be open to learning, and hopefully in the future, with more studies, with a lot less red tape, we'll be able to have access to so many different things. It's just a great time to be alive, especially in the fitness industry, because there are so many brilliant minds, so many unique minds, so much unique information coming from all directions, that while it is a bit hard and confusing to take everything in, you have to be willing to do so. And that's exactly where I'm at. Even as a certified personal trainer, I am constantly learning. I'm constantly asking questions. I'm constantly watching and trying different things, from people I see in the gym, from people I see online. That's pretty much how I do it, especially when it comes to supplementation and vitamins, to food, to different devices, whether it's, the cold plunge, whether it's sauna, whether it's, oh my gosh, red light therapy, what have you. This is a great time to be alive, man, and try these things, I will say that one thing I definitely try and do is, when I continuously see a trend being mentioned, or something that is got my attention being mentioned, or some positivity or some evidence behind those things, I will be more inclined to try it. And, safely. You have to do it safely, of course. You never want to injure yourself or get hurt. But for me, that's exactly where it was. Now, I had my father get me into the gym, like I said before, for a reason, because I was playing football. But from there, it became all me. And it has to become all you too, And you have to eventually learn, like I said, that this is something that is never perfected. Fitness, wellness, exercise is something for life. And it becomes secondhand, really, that you're doing it so much. It becomes something like you have to do. It's like breathing. At least it is for me. And you will find that I think everyone can agree, whatever it is, whether it's walking, running, weightlifting, what have you, that it is very beneficial to a human being overall in many different ways. And as human beings, I think that that was the goal that God had for us to be constantly working or using our body and exercising and moving around, or at least doing it when we could. Because this sitting in chairs bullshit for hours a day, rotting away, not being active, not excessively having the blood flow naturally through your body or helping your brain is absolute bullshit. This eating shit constantly is absolute bullshit. There is no upside to that. This non wanting to learn or being afraid of reading or listening to long form conversation from people who may do things or may use substances that we were told were bad for us. When you automatically, I think, put those people in a place where you aren't allowed to say these things, I think it harms everyone. Even if they're wrong, I want to hear them speak. And then from there, you know, hear someone who knows more than myself, judge them, make my own judgment, or want to deep dive more into the subject matter at hand. Um, and that's why I think the more open we are, the better in this industry. You know, the more flexible we are, the better it is for us in this industry, and the better you'll find out what works for you over time. So, my overall message and goal I give to my clients is what we want to do is we want to stay strong. We always want to be doing resistance. We want to be able to lift something heavy, and we want to pick ourselves up off the floor. We have to constantly be in motion, or at least be in motion and moving for a good part of the day. Hydrating, sleeping well, getting enough sunlight, that vitamin D, getting all our nutrients and vitamins in, trying our best to stay stress free, and most importantly, avoiding negative people, negative situations, negative anything that's going to really take away from our time of doing better. Because again, this is a lifelong mission. This is not going to get to that mountain when I'm 25, going to get to that mountain when I'm 35. I think this goes for everybody involved. You have to look at it like you're in the race, man. One way, a shape or form, whether you want or not, you're in the race, and you have to decide how you're going to run this race. Are you going to run this race at 300 pounds? Are you going to run this race as someone who's trimming down? Are you going to run a race eating shit all day long, smoking, doing more damage to your body? Or are you going to run this race smart? So I think it's beneficial for everybody. That's why I think it's one of exercise, wellness, and health is one of the areas that really ties us all in together as one, that we can be utilizing and learning from each other and bouncing off each other and helping each other to see what works for us, to learn more from other people. And with technology, learning, what's new, what's fresh, what seems to be out there. Like I said, this is a great time to be alive, man. I find it so so plentiful when it comes to information, and now we have an abundance of that. Again, whether it's in nutrition, whether it's in technology, whether it's in new exercises, whether it's in new ways to keep ourselves from being injured, rehabbing, anti-aging. There is a wealth of information, and of course there's the charlatans and the bullshit, and we need to cut down on that, and we need to make those people aware that we know that they're full of shit. You always have to be deep diving. So for me, this has become obsession. It's not the word. It's just become like water for me, if that makes any sense. Like the blood in my veins. This is part of me, and that's what I think got me into this industry, because there was always some type of need to be there. There was always an interest to be there, and a curiosity, man, to just always wanting to know more and try different things. And that's the way it worked for me from the very beginning. Was just, let me give this a shot. I saw this guy doing this. Let me try this out. Let me try that out. So that's what was important for me, and that's what I tell a lot of athletes who are in their teens or in high school. Like I said, start when the off season comes around. Get in that gym, get in that weight room, whether it's in your house or your friend's garage, and just start with the body weight stuff, and then increase, and then move up, and always, be doing something. That's, I think, a God given right that we all have to follow, because I look at it I look at it a certain way. You can be I use this analogy with a lot of other things, but I think it's similar to that in exercise and wellness, and when it comes to eating and supplementation, whatnot. You have two choices in life. If you were on the Titanic, you can choose to, unfortunately, sit there and do nothing and not even try and survive, or you can try and survive. Which road are you going to choose? Now, maybe that's a little strict, that's a little militaristic, but that's what works for me, you know. And it's sort of what I follow to this day. So again, this has been my journey up to this point. This has been my story up to this point. That's that, the genesis, and now the rest of it. It's been important for me when people ask me how and why did you get into this? How and why did you get into fitness? Not everybody's always going to have the same story, but for me, this is something, again, that has become like eating, like sleeping. It's like everything else. Now, it's not always going to be that way for people, but sometimes it's never. I don't think anything in life is easy. It's never easy. There are days I don't want to do jack shit. There are days I don't want to pick up jack shit. There are days the last thing I want to do is look at a weight or look at a machine or think about it. But it has to be done. And if I don't get that done, there will be results that I will not be happy with, whether they are physical, mental, or spiritual. That's just me. I can only speak for myself. Does that mean I don't have a rest day? No, I do have a rest day, sure. When my body tells me, can't today, listen to your body. You have to listen to your body. When my inner bitch wants to get me to bitch out of doing something, I don't listen. So I hope everybody enjoyed this first episode. I'm going to be coming back with various different episodes, talking about supplements that work for me, talking about dietary intake, talking about what I'm doing, what I'm trying, what I'm reading about, a hot topic, what have you. So I think a lot of good information will come from this. I think hoping a lot of good information will come back at me from this. Hoping to learn more, hoping to give out more, and be 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 part of this of the positivity in this industry. Because, again, there's a negative aspect to it, like there is anything else, and life is too short to be part of that. So I hope you like it. Please subscribe to the page, and I will see you when I see you. Peace.